Okay, we're on part 4 of the Depression Wellness Coloring Workbook video series, and this section is all about negative self-talk or the inner self-critic and how to practice reframing negative thoughts. So I started out with a nice little cute picture, kind of like a community. And then another one, which I thought was interesting because it says it's all a pigment of your imagination. Excuse me, which in a sense is kind of a play on words because a lot of these negative self-talk is not really real. It's just something we've been stuck with. So this page has a lot of good, negative versus positive cognitions. Cognitions means your mental thinking in the categories of being defective, being responsible, being safe or vulnerable, and having control or choice. So every time you catch yourself saying, I'm not good enough, you want to catch it and say, oh, that's my depression talking. I am good enough. And that's all a reframe is. It's very simple. It's your acknowledging that the negative is a symptom of the depression, and you're now choosing to reframe it into a positive. Whether you totally feel it or believe it or not, it doesn't matter because the negative isn't really true either. It's just the practice of catching it and reframing it, catching it and reframing it, and you'll do this several times. So there's some good stuff in there. If you can't think of anything else, there's some good stuff. And now this one came out of a class. We wrote down all the negative thoughts that hold you back. Like life sucks, I hate people, I have regrets, I have obsessive and intrusive thoughts, I'm isolated, I'm suffering, I'm a victim, I'm worthless, etc. And then we came up with positive reframes, like how grateful I am to have the life that I do have, to take breaks and connect with people I like. I'm not alone. I'm not the only one. Like-minded people are cool. Things that go more towards the truth and then help kind of promote you to move forward and not stay stuck in the negative. So those, and you can make your own little sheet like that. Write out all your negative thinking every time you catch a negative thought or belief. Write it down and then reframe it so that you can reread it. And then here's another that I got from San Diego Wellness and Recovery class. Just talks about thoughts that get in the way of getting support from people, and thoughts that get in the way of asking for information or help, or offering information, or being social. And there's blank lines for you to reframe each one of those. So you pick the ones that really bother you and hold you back and reframe them so that you can interact better without these negatives holding you back. Okay? So these are some really good ones. A lot of people with depression can totally relate to those. And then here's just for your education, types of cognitive distortions. In other words, all these negative thoughts can be put into categories, jumping to conclusions, should statements, catastrophizing. So you want to get a sense of how your thoughts are fitting into these categories, and it'll help you catch them more and more. Okay, and then we got a couple little coloring sheets at the end there to help you soak that in. So the whole part 4 is about negative self-talk, catching it, and reframing it. You want to reframe it to more realistic thoughts, not just positive thinking, but really acknowledging the truth. So positive thinking is sort of like, I don't know, faking it or pretending or hoping it'll work. This is more reframing back to a more neutral, truthful statement. Think of your inner critic as like a bad dog, and you're now like the dog whisperer who has to tell it to shh, no, and you're training it to stop bombarding you with the negative, false statements. So you can get back to a confident, calm energy state and not be judgmental or shaming, because that kind of energy is what keeps you down. There's lots to color because there's lots to take in, and it does take a little time to start seeing this in your life. You have to start paying attention and catching it. So you will get better with practice over time, catching yourself with the negative thoughts, catching your depression talking, catching your inner critic talking, which is usually inside thoughts judging yourself, and also catching your outer critic, which is your inside thoughts or outside speaking about judging other people, which is typically projection. I like the concept of catch and release by immediately going to your wellness thoughts on purpose. So you want to catch your negative, release it, and then go to your wellness thoughts. You'll get better at not judging yourself for having these negative thoughts. You'll start enjoying more and more the wellness thoughts that you're reinforcing. Sorry for my spelling typos. I was getting through this quick. And another reframe is that negative thoughts are like helpers. They're like reminders to remind you to think wellness thoughts. So thank them for reminding you. Thank them for sharing and reminding you to get back to your wellness thinking. Negative thoughts are not really true 100% anyway, but no one really taught us how to change them, and we reinforce them just by kind of letting them happen instead of challenging them and changing them. And you'll be able to take any negative sentence and turn it around into a positive statement, which is basically what reframing is, or thought stopping is, if you've ever heard those terms. So that's what part 4 is all about. So learn about it, get to work, do some homework, print it out, really have a good think on your negative thoughts, and brainstorm on how you can reframe them to more truthful, positive thoughts for yourself. All right, we'll see you on the next video.